Welcome back to this course, How to Start Online Startup. And this module, we are going to discuss how to validate your idea. The next step in your business process, in starting up your startup, you had an idea, then we learned how to prepare a business model canvas out of it. And thereafter, now is the time to validate your idea. And how do you validate your idea? You got to do some research and you got to do some planning. So let's understand this research and planning thing. So like we discussed, first step was ideation, then business model canvas, and now is the time where we get into the research and planning. As we had discussed in the first module or in the ideation module, that the whole startup process, there's an in-building phase and there's an out-building phase. In the in-building phase, you don't have to do anything. You are working within the confinement of your four walls, or in short, you're not talking to any external people. Idea is something which you get. You have to think of an idea. Business model canvas, you have to prepare a business model canvas. You have to do it on your own. Okay. And now in research and planning, from this step, some research you'll be doing on your own, and then you'll be stepping out to conduct some more research. And from this point onwards, you're taking a step out in the world to start a journey. Okay. So why we need to do research and planning? This is one step most entrepreneurs skip. Okay. What happens is, with research and planning, if you do research and planning, it will help your idea to rock. What it means is, A, you gain some knowledge more. You feel that I have a good idea about my business, but when you do some research and planning, it enhances your knowledge base. Okay. It adds to your knowledge that you carry, and which is definitely going to be helpful in the business. Yeah. Then you can, it also helps you to acquire customers. What it means is, when you do research and planning, you are meeting some potential customers which in turn are going to become part of your customer when you actually launch a service. Okay. So it also helps you to acquire the first set of customers. Then it also tells you the odds of a success. Okay. Whether your idea or whether your startup will succeed or will fail, or what is the possibility, what is the percentage, or not literally percentage, but what are the chances on a scale of 1 to 10, whether your idea will work or you may not work, you get to know that in beginning. Okay. So in case you feel that this is not working out, then before you spending a single penny on your project, you actually become a little alert, go back to the whiteboard or a drawing board and retweak your model also all over again, or rethink completely different. Yeah. And finally, it also helps you to raise money. If you had done your preparation, then when you go for funding, which I'm sure every startup would want to raise funds, go to angel investors, seed capital, venture capitalists, that at that stage, you'll realize that how this research and planning is going to help you to increase the chances for raising money from investors. So all in all, you should do research and planning because it's going to help you to rock. Even if you fail, intend to, if there is a possibility, not necessarily that you success is guaranteed. Okay. There could be some possibility of failure, then it's better to fail earlier so that you can succeed later or sooner. Yeah. So it's better to fail at this stage, in short. There's no point failing after you have gone miles ahead in your journey of startup. Okay. You have invested money, time, effort. Okay. And then you face the failures. It's better to fail at this stage. Now, why people skip this research and planning? As I told you, we have seen, we have been mentoring thousands of entrepreneurs. We speak to so many entrepreneurs across different cities. And one thing very commonly which we have noticed is people skip this step. Okay. And why do they skip this step? One reason is because, they think they know all. Yeah. So most of the people, they feel that, yeah, ये हमारा idea है, मुझे मालूम है, this is my business, I've been seeing my dad doing this business, now I want to take it online, or I have seen this business, I've been doing this business, whatever it is, they feel that they know this business very well, and hence there's nothing much to research. Yeah. The other reason for they don't skip this step, they don't do research and planning, is they don't know how to conduct research and plan and how to plan. Okay. क्या करना चाहिए? When you talk about research, what I should be researching? So that knowledge is missing, and because they don't know this, that's why they skip this step. The third reason to skip this step is because there's a euphoria, there's a excitement. Okay, when you get an idea and people, when they encourage you, then there's so much of euphoria, so much of excitement, and the excitement, you just ignore everything else and you jump into this bandwagon of startup. Yeah, fine. I'm not saying you can still lead to success, but it's better to do research and planning so that at least your odds of success increases. Yeah, at times all these three could be reasons. Yeah, so it could be not necessarily one reason, but even all three could become a reason for people not doing research and planning. Now, where to research? Definitely not your mom, and definitely not a family. In short, what I mean to say is definitely not your family. Generally, people talk to their family and then say, and family definitely going to encourage. Okay, and when they get encouraged from family, they feel, oh, good, it's a good idea, and I can immediately start. Okay. Now, that's not a target audience. Agreed? Your family is not, they are not your customers, right? Your customer segment is going to be somebody else, or they could be biased. Because they are family, obviously their job is to encourage you, so they are going to say all good things to you. Yeah? So these are reasons why you should not start your research and planning with your own family. The other reason could be your friends. Generally, we have seen many of the ideas are discussed this way. Yeah? And then there are friends like say, अरे यार क्या ढासू idea है, तू कर हम तेरे साथ है. Friends are friends, right? They're going to encourage you. Yeah? Unknowingly or unintentionally, perhaps they are pushing you to something which is not right. So this is definitely not the way to research. Okay. So entrepreneurs come to us and say, sir, everybody is excited. Everybody, when you say anybody, who is everybody? My friends, my family. Yeah, they have encouraged me. Agreed, they are supposed to encourage you because that's why they are friends. Yeah, it's a family. They are going to encourage you. But that is not the place to conduct research. These are the steps. What you would be researching? First, the functions, which are, so you go to researching various functions. Now, in your business, perhaps you may require to manufacture some product, you may require to some source or find some vendor for your startup. Okay, you may require to do some selling, buying, distribution, services, you may require logistics. Okay, so many different functions. You remember in BMC we did key activities, right? Now, these are the key activities which perhaps you need to, these are the areas which you need to research on. And then you have to go and meet the various performers. You remember we had key partners? Okay, so you have to go and meet them and talk to them. They could be your potential customers, users, sellers, manufacturers, some channel partners like logistics companies, okay, your technology developers, employees, yeah, investors, or even other partners. Now, these are the people you may want to talk to. You should be not want to, you should be going and talking to them, okay, and conducting your research and planning. And then finally, after all the data that you collect from various sources, you need to prioritize them. What does it mean is, it all depends on what information is given by whom. Now, some partners are very, very critical, okay, and because it's critical, you need to prioritize that, if this guy has said something and this is the input given to me by him, then this is extremely important. Okay. Let me tell you, for example, we were talking about street food. Yeah. Now, in street food app that we were discussing, we were talking about hygiene as a value proposition. And solid value proposition, our business is all about providing hygiene to street food vendors, okay, and that's a solid value proposition which we have to deliver. Now, to deliver this value proposition to our customers, there is some activity or there is some change which we expect these street food vendors to bring in. For example, they need to use good utensils, they need to wear plastic gloves, or water gloves, sorry, or they need to have a better water, they can't just use, or the way they are cleaning the utensils, okay, they should be changing that process, whatever it is, right? You expect some changes to come from these vendors, they are your partners, right? Now, till you don't talk to them, okay, and when their information, whatever information they provide is going to be extremely critical for you, that's a high priority, right? But let's say if you talk to call center, and when they talk, call center may somewhere be lower in the priority. So when they give some information, their information not be as critical as the information provided by the street food vendor himself, right? So depending on the functions and the partners that you're talking to, you got to prioritize your information and give weightage by which information should have a high weightage, which you cannot ignore, and some you can ignore and say, okay, itna hai, mere se nahi hoga, lekin chalega. But certain things you got to keep that in mind. You cannot ignore those, right? In short, you have to validate your idea with all significant stakeholders.
Model validation thing,
Yeah.
it is more from a planning and execution point of view. We have made our business plan
Yeah,
canvas,
true.
and this is more from validating from very stakeholders.
True, absolutely.
What about validation of idea per se? It may be possible I got an idea, I made a canvas out of it, and then this will be the third step.
Yeah.
But it may be possible that idea what I have thought of is already a existing idea and will have very less potential if I, even though I complete second and third step.
So, okay, if you say that because already that idea exists and that's why you have a lesser possibility of success. So in a earlier class you said that don't worry about your, I mean if there are already some idea existing, then that does not mean that your market is over for you. Okay, of course you need to have a differentiating factor in that case. So that again you will be putting that you will be creating that differentiating factor in a business model canvas. So your whole value proposition thing is all about that, right? So if somebody else is delivering one value proposition, how I am going to different and I am going to drive different value proposition. So your value proposition will be differing from other people, from your competition, and that's how you're going to separate out yourself from other competition, right? So I hope I have answered your question. Idea itself is raw, then you have to package it in a business model canvas. Okay, and once you package it and it gives you a little more clarity, more framework, systematic approach, yeah. And then it's a step whether once your business model canvas is ready, then it's a step where you start validating it, yeah. And that whatever research you conduct, I'm sure it will help you to tweak your business model further and make it more perfect, right? Now, what all things which you need to research on? One, you got to research on competencies. Now, competencies means whether you have that skill sets in dealing. Let's say we talk about street food. Whether do you have knowledge of food industry or do you require knowledge of food industry, or if your business model is such where it's all about delivery, then do you have the knowledge of logistics, hyper local deliveries? Okay, it's all about that. If you're talking your value proposition hygiene, do you have the knowledge of hygiene? If not, how are you going to acquire it? So it's all about you got to research and you got to find out what are the competencies required, right? We very easily while we discussed, we said कि हम testing करा लेंगे. क्या test करना है उसका? Are we going to test his health? Are we going to test his food? Are we going to test his water? Yes, perhaps everything. ये सब मालूम होना चाहिए. Let's say if that person is suffering from tuberculosis. Okay, do we give him some mask to wear, or he is suffering from AIDS? Okay, we do not know. I'm just throwing some. I mean, it may be extreme, but he is suffering from some contagious disease. Okay, and then so health definitely is the one thing which you need to check up. Then second is his own personal hygiene habits. Okay, third is his utensils. Okay, is he using a plastic cans or using a steel cans? Yeah, so all these things. How often they are washed. So there are so many areas, and that. So when we say that I want to give a value proposition of hygiene, but you should have a knowledge, competency, and if you don't have that competency, then how are you going to acquire that competency? Then market. Okay, you got to understand the whole market dynamics, the environment, marketing environment, the market environment, the business environment. Okay, so we'll come to that, how big is the market, all those things, yeah. And then you also need to understand the product. Now, product also has got two things. One is the core product. Okay, like in your case, in the case of street food, okay, your product is what? The whole process of ordering. That is the offering, or that is your service that you're offering, right? Your service which you're offering is ordering. Okay, how convenient, easy, with all various value proposition which you are built in, that's the core. That is one product. Other product is again the packaging. How you going to use this? So it's through technology. So whether you're going to develop an app or you're going to develop a website is also a product through which people are going to use. So people are going to use that product to drive their value proposition, right? So that also becomes a product, okay, the technological product. Finally, the competition. You also have to understand the competition, and competition may not necessarily be direct. There could be an indirect competition in terms of substitutes. Yeah, so that those are called substitutes. Now, what are the substitute? What is the competition in a street food ordering app? Phone call, right? People can place orders through phone call also. Why should they use app? So that's a competition indirectly for you. Okay, how do you compete with this competition is something which you have to think and plan of. Okay, and finally, what are the resources? So again, key resources. So where these resources will come from? Who is going to offer? How much resources will you require? All those something which you got to plan. You just cannot blindly jump into this startup bandwagon and say, अरे अच्छा आइडिया है, चालू कर लेते हैं. ये सब पे आपको रिसर्च करना पड़ता है. नहीं तो आगे जाके somewhere down the line you will face a wall and say, अरे I got stuck here now. काश ये मैं पहला सोचा होता. ये काफ़ी हमको सुनने में मिलता है. Okay, तो that's why we are telling you guys, don't make that mistake. आप अभी से सोच लो and do this research. One area which people have while they are doing research is concern which most of the entrepreneurs carry is about sharing the idea, right? So we discussed this already in past. Don't worry about sharing your idea. Okay, अगर मेरा बस चले तो मैं तो लाल किले पे जाके चिल्ला के बोलूँ ये मेरा idea है. Take a claim, make a claim. Of course, there are some trade secrets which you did not reveal, but on a macro level, on a surface level, you can always say this is what I want to do. Yeah. What is the value proposition that you can keep to yourself? But so trade secrets you can keep to yourself, but idea you have to reveal. You cannot avoid, because when you do research, you have to talk to people. Yeah, so don't worry about that. So now competencies. Mapping idea with yourself. So how much domain experience you got? Do you have experience of that domain? Whatever domain you are entering into. Let's say you want to set up a plus size clothing store. Do you have the domain expertise of clothing business? Okay, you want to set up a food business, you want to set up an insurance business, somebody wants to set up a training business. What is your experience? How many years of experience yourself you have in that business, so far that you get a confidence? Then knowledge. How much knowledge you have? You may have a lesser experience, but you must have acquired a huge knowledge, or you may have, it could be reverse, you may have worked in the industry for years and still not acquired a knowledge, right? So experience and knowledge, they are two different things. Okay, so you should have experience and you should also have enough knowledge. And finally, you should also see how many contacts you got. Generally, I personally believe, please mark this, I personally believe, जो इंडस्ट्री में आप घुस रहे हो, जो इंडस्ट्री में आप एंट्री ले रहे हो, जो भी इंडस्ट्री आपकी है, आपके फ़ोन बुक में उस इंडस्ट्री के कम से कम 10 लोग को आपको पहचान. आपके फ़ोन बुक में 10 नंबर होने चाहिए जिसको आप डायरेक्टली फ़ोन कर सकते हो. तो ऐसा बोल सकता हूँ मैं कि हाँ आपके अच्छे कॉन्टैक्ट्स हैं और कॉन्टैक्ट्स काम आते हैं. यू रिक्वायर कॉन्टैक्ट्स, राइट? सो इफ आई एम एंटरिंग इनटू फूड बिजनेस or if I am entering into a clothing business, then I should have at least 10 people in my phone book whom I can touch base with. I have a one-to-one connection. Should be able to talk to. And then technical knowledge. So because we are now getting into an online world, this is highly technology dependent businesses, and all the future businesses are going to be highly technology driven, highly technology dependent. That means expertise or a knowledge on technical side also becomes essential for a startup. Okay, there you should have a knowledge or how to architecture the whole your software development. Okay, now this is nothing. This is not a competency which you'll have. You cannot have competency in both the industry. One is your domain, water business you're getting into, and one is technology. You may not have. Okay, but you should know that that's a expertise you need to have. Programming, team management, technical team management is something different. Okay, the whole software development team is going to be different. Yeah, so this is something which you perhaps may lack because you may be coming from domain side. Okay, your expertise lies on domain. On a technical side is something which you may be lacking, but you should be aware of that this is what you're going to require. You may right now feel कि इस पे करना है क्या, मुझे वेबसाइट ही डालना है, but even that website के पीछे backend में lot of technologies are coming in, new technologies are evolving, and if you don't have a good technology partner with you, then you will be missing out on the evolution, the emerging technology. You may be then become redundant. And technology is changing very fast. We all know it's very dynamic. It's changing, ever growing, ever increasing. It's ever evolving rather. So if you don't have a good technology partner, then you'll soon miss out on the evolution. Yeah. So on the skill sets, these are the four G what we call as, okay. 4G, one is you should have a somebody in your team who's a go-getter, dynamic personality, go-getter, बोल बच्चन जिसको हम आम भाषा में बोलते हैं, जाके basically he helps you develop the business. Okay. Then you require a geek. Geek means some technical person who understands technology. Yeah. Then you require one creative person, graphics. Okay. Now graphics is not necessarily a graphic designer. What I'm talking about is it should be a creative person. Okay. So while one person is the technical guy, will be more logical thinking, more mathematical, analytical. The creative guy is more from arts background. Arts in the sense creative side. Okay. And finally, you require one governor. Governor means some ops guy who governs the business, who sees that entire business operations are going smooth. Okay. So one guy brings the business, he develops the business. One guy looks after technology. One person looks after the creative side, which is very important, and one guy governs the business, that means looks after the operations. Ye 4G is something which, these are skill sets which generally helps you to build a good business. Okay, this is a team which you require. Now, if you don't have such expertise, okay, then it's better to find a co-founder or a team member. Yeah. So even before you jump into execution and before you start spending your first rupee, okay, try to get a co-founder, preferably from a technology background, because technology is something going to play a very major role in your business in future. In fact, it has already started doing now. You cannot survive without a good technology. And that's one area which you may not have domain expertise, and hence it's always better to get a co-founder who comes from a technology background. Secondly, I would like to make a comment here. Please don't try to find a co-founder which is like you. Banti hai, chemistry banti hai. You need a complementing skill, okay, and not a similar skill sets. Okay. Somebody who can come and add value to your business, and not somebody who is also going to do the same thing like what you are going to do. या चलो मेरा दोस्त है, हम लोग दोनों इतने सालों से सेम बिजनेस कर रहे थे, साथ में खाना खाया, साथ में जाके कस्टमर को मिले, साथ में धंधा किया, जॉब की, अभी सब मिलके चलो धंधा भी करते हैं अपन साथ में. Both have got the same skill sets, waste. Rather find a partner who is going to complement you, who the skill set which you don't have, that other guy brings in.